The unfolding map of Elias slumped onto the park bench, the worn wood groaning beneath his weight. Autumn painted the leaves in fiery hues of red and gold, a beautiful spectacle that only amplified the dull greyness of his own mood. Another rejection email blinked mockingly from his phone screen. Another dead end, another day of feeling like a failure. He was 24, armed with a freshly minted degree in history that felt less like a key to the future and more like a useless trinket. The job market, they said, was competitive, but competitive felt like being thrown into a shark tank with a paperclip for defense. His savings were dwindling. His parents were starting to subtly, and not so subtly, pressure him about getting serious. And the weight of expectation was crushing him. Elias had always been a bright kid, a voracious reader, a dreamer. But dreams felt frivolous now, a luxury he couldn't afford. Reality was a relentless grind of applications, interviews that went nowhere, and the gnawing, ever-present anxiety of not knowing what tomorrow held. He felt like a ship lost at sea, without a compass or even a hint of land on the horizon. He watched a group of children chase pigeons, their laughter echoing through the park. Their joy was infectious for a split second, before the overwhelming sadness returned, a heavy cloak smothering any spark of hope. What were they going to be when they grow up? He wondered. What's the point of dreams, he thought bitterly, if they just end up broken? A shadow fell over him. Elias looked up to see an old man, his face etched with the map of a long life, standing beside the bench. He had a kind smile and eyes that seemed to hold a universe of stories. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" the old man said, his voice raspy but warm. Elias grunted in response, averting his gaze. The old man didn't seem to mind. He sat down slowly, his joints creaking a soft symphony of age. "You look troubled, young man. Something weighing you down?" Elias hesitated. He usually kept his feelings bottled up, afraid of burdening others. But something about the old man's gentle demeanor made him want to confide. "I'm lost," Elias admitted, the word catching in his throat. "I graduated, but I can't find a job. I feel like I'm failing, like I'm letting everyone down." The old man nodded understandingly. "Lost, eh? That's a feeling I know well. Life, you see, is not a straight road marked with clear signs. It's more like a vast, uncharted territory. And sometimes you find yourself without a map." "Exactly," Elias exclaimed, relief flooding him. "I have a degree, but it feels useless. I don't have any special skills that companies are looking for. I don't know what to do." The old man chuckled softly. "My dear boy, the map you seek isn't one you find, but one you create. And the most important part of that map isn't about finding the easiest path, but about discovering yourself." He pointed to a pile of leaves swirling at the base of a tree. "Look at those leaves. Each one is unique with its own shape, color, and imperfections. Yet, together, they create something beautiful. You are like those leaves, Elias. You have unique qualities, strengths, and talents that are waiting to be discovered." "But what if I don't have any?" Elias asked, his voice laced with despair. "What if I'm just ordinary?" The old man shook his head. "There is no such thing as ordinary, Elias. Everyone has something special to offer the world. The trick is to find what ignites your passion, what makes your heart sing. What did you love to do before the weight of expectations crushed you? Elias thought for a moment. I loved reading history. I loved learning about the past, about different cultures and ideas. I used to dream of writing, of telling stories. And what happened to those dreams? They seemed impractical, Elias admitted. My parents wanted me to get a real job, something stable. Writing felt like a pipe dream. The old man smiled. Sometimes the real job is the one that feeds your soul. Look, right now, you're focusing on what you think you should be doing, on what others expect of you. But that's a recipe for misery. You need to turn inward and ask yourself, what truly matters to me? He paused, letting his words sink in. This job search, it's not just about finding a paycheck, Elias. It's an opportunity to learn about yourself, to explore your interests, to develop new skills. It's a chance to start mapping your own territory. But how? Elias asked, feeling a flicker of hope ignite within him. How do I even start? Start small, the old man replied. Think about those things you loved. Read history again. Write. Volunteer at a museum or library. Take an online course in creative writing or journalism. Explore different avenues, even if they seem unrelated at first. The key is to be curious, to be open to new experiences, and to pay attention to what resonates with you, he continued. Every step you take, every skill you learn, every person you meet adds a new detail to your map. It might not be clear at first, but gradually a path will emerge. A path that is uniquely yours. The old man pulled out a small, worn leather notebook from his pocket. I used to be a carpenter for years, but one day I realized I like to draw landscapes. Now people call me an artist. He chuckled. Life has twists and turns, but if you give yourself a little shot every day, you will grow to what you aspire to be. He tore out a blank page and handed it to Elias. This is your blank map, my friend. Start filling it in. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, to take wrong turns. Those are just lessons in disguise. And most importantly, don't be afraid to redefine success. Success isn't just about money or status. It's about living a life that is meaningful and fulfilling. To you. Elias took the page, his fingers trembling slightly. Thank you, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I needed to hear that. The old man smiled. We all need reminding sometimes. Now go. Start exploring. The world is waiting to be discovered, and so are you. He stood up slowly, his body protesting with a chorus of creaks. And remember, he added, turning to leave, the most beautiful maps are the ones that are constantly evolving. Elias watched him walk away, a new sense of purpose stirring within him. He looked at the blank page in his hand. It wasn't a roadmap to instant success or a guaranteed job, but it was something far more valuable, a permission slip to explore, to experiment, to discover the hidden landscapes within himself. He took out his phone and deleted the rejection email. He then opened a new note and started typing, "Things I enjoy." He spent the rest of the afternoon brainstorming, filling the page with ideas, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. He listed his love of history, his passion for storytelling, his fascination with different cultures, his desire to learn new things. He even added a few silly things, like his love of baking and his surprisingly good karaoke skills. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, Elias felt a weight lifting from his shoulders. He still didn't have a job, but he had something more important: a direction, a purpose, a reason to believe in himself. The next day, Elias didn't spend hours trawling through job boards. Instead, he visited the local library and checked out a stack of history books. He started writing a short story inspired by a historical event that had always captivated him. He volunteered to help organize a local historical society's archives. He didn't magically land his dream job overnight. There were still days of frustration, of self-doubt, of feeling like he was getting nowhere. But now, he had a compass to guide him, a map to remind him that he was on a journey of self-discovery. He started a blog, sharing his short stories and historical insights. He connected with other writers and history enthusiasts online. He even took a part-time job as a barista in a coffee shop, not because it was his dream, but because it allowed him to meet new people, practice his social skills, and earn a little money while pursuing his other passions. Slowly but surely, his map began to take shape. The contours of his future were still blurry, but he was no longer lost. He was navigating, exploring, and learning as he went. One day, a local museum saw his blog and contacted him. They were looking for someone to create engaging content for their website and social media channels. His passion for history, his writing skills, and his online presence made him the perfect candidate. Elias got the job. It wasn't the high-paying, prestigious position he had once envisioned, but it was a foot in the door, a chance to use his skills and passions to make a difference. And more importantly, it was a stepping stone on his own unique path. Years later, Elias stood on a stage, accepting an award for his work in promoting historical awareness. He looked out at the audience, a sea of faces filled with hope and inspiration. He thought back to that day in the park, sitting on that worn bench, feeling lost and defeated. He realized that joblessness wasn't a sign of failure. It was an invitation to create his own map, to define his own success, to discover the extraordinary potential that lay hidden within him. It wasn't just about finding a job. It was about finding himself. And as he looked out at the audience, he knew that his journey was far from over. The map of his life was still unfolding, filled with endless possibilities and uncharted territories, waiting to be explored. He smiled, knowing that the most exciting adventures were yet to come. He was ready, compass in hand, to create his own destiny. One step, one story, one discovery at a time.